difficulty of seeing something new is understanding how it works and how to apply, especially with KT Tape. And so we're excited to jump into that. And we'd love that we get the opportunity to explain how KT Tape works, because it's one of those things that is a little bit nuanced. So we want each of you to be able to understand a little bit better about how it works, how to apply it. And so you get that kind of that energy to go out, try it, because we understand as runners, you guys are all prone to a few niggles here and there. But Morgan, if you want to jump into it, I'll let you take over with the next video.
Sure. Thanks for having us, you guys, and for joining. It's great to connect with you. The first couple videos here, this video will be kind of going over the new brand manifesto of our newly launched brand that was launched in April. So you may or may not have noticed if you have previous experience with KT Tape, but basically all of our visuals and marketing branding has updated since April. We're rolling this update out globally within the next few weeks. And so you'll start to see more and more of this around, but you guys kind of get a nice little sneak peek. So this is our brand manifesto, very inspiring, that we're going to show you right now.
Sitting still is not an option. There are mountains to climb, trails to ride, miles to log, and personal records to shatter. You don't push yourself for followers or a multi-million-dollar contract or a place on some faraway podium. It's about the challenge, you, what's in front of you, and the personal pride to overcome. But sometimes your body doesn't agree with your ambitions. That's where we come in. We're KT. We're here to help you unleash your body's potential so you can have the confidence to move faster, reach deeper, go harder, and do the things that drive you most.
That last part and what you see on the screen here, Crush Every Moment, is our like kind of high level North Star campaign for the year. We want to dial into everyone's moments. And as we know, everyone's moments are different. Every day we could have a little moment that we want to crush that kind of gets us to the next step in anything in our lives. And that's where we want to tap in, where KT Tape can help crush those either little or big moments along people's journeys. So it's really exciting. We're basically just trying to bring the KT Tape message down to everybody versus just everyone looking for the highest podium. We're obviously looking to support every person, high, low, in between level. And so that's why it's great to have you guys on the call, because you all kind of reflect who we want to speak to. And so, especially because you're also active. So it's really great to have you on here to get some more education and get you up to speed on how to use KT Tape.
It's one of my favorite things about KT Tape is I am definitely not going to sit on or stand on any podium here in the next couple of weeks, but I still use it almost daily. And so that's the best part about it, is it's really for everybody. And that's one thing that we've used lately, is it's for everybody out there. Whether you're incredibly active, like this gentleman on the screen, he's obviously in very good shape, or whether you're more like me and a little bit fluffier, but I still like to be active. I still like to run, but because I'm not in amazing shape, when I do run, occasionally I feel some niggles. I don't know whether you're on the couch, starting to like a couch to 5K, or whether you're an elite runner trying to get to that, really getting to that podium. It helps everybody. Okay. So now the real fun of the moment tonight. How does KT Tape work? We get this question all the time because we get, I don't know if how many of you happen to attend the run show before the London Marathon in April. But we had a booth there. It was really fun. We were taping people. But I would say we estimated we taped about 1,000 people over the 4 days. And of those 1,000, I'm guessing about 920 came up, and the first question was, how does it work? And so we understand that that's a big question. And again, it doesn't matter how familiar you are with it. If you've seen it before, if you've used it, there's still a lot of people that use it and love it, but their big question is, how does it work? And so I wanted to jump in with one of these videos real quick and kind of give you a good idea of how it works. I do want to warn, there is a pop quiz at the end of the video, so please pay attention.
KT tape is recommended by physical therapists and athletic trainers to relieve minor pain and provide flexible support for muscles, ligaments, and tendons. By using KT tape as a part of their fitness routine, active people of all kinds can better prepare for athletic activity, perform their best, and recover from minor soreness or injury. When properly applied to a sore or injured area using the anchor, stretch, anchor method, KT tape lifts the skin from the tissues below it, promoting increased blood flow to aid in pain relief and reduce swelling. To learn more, watch the next video in this series, How to Apply KT Tape.
So the question is, how does KT tape promote increased blood flow? That's one of the questions that we get all the time, because the blood flow is really at the core of what the tape does. It is interesting to think about something that you stick on the outside of your skin being able to promote increased blood flow beneath the surface. But that it does. We've got some cool studies that show that. I'm going to pull up the chat just for fun to see. It looks like we've had
tons of people answering correctly.
Tons of the answers. I love it. Thank you so much for the participation. This is awesome. Exactly. It lifts the skin from the tissue beneath it. It looks like everybody else, everybody's got the right answer. You guys are great students. But that's exactly what it is. As the video described, it just pulls the skin away from the fascia, is what it's called, beneath. And there are layers and layers of fascia beneath the skin. But with the stretch and recoil of the tape, we can apply it with the anchors appropriately, so it does pull the skin. You might not notice it. Some people think that, oh, I'm going to get this big bump on my skin or this big arch of the tape. But what you have to think about is on the layers of the skin, with the tape applied on stretch, every time you move, the tape is counteracting the movement of your body. And that's what creates that tension that pulls the skin away from the tissue beneath it. And so it's not happening like over the whole 10 inches of tape, but it's happening over little bits and pieces of the tape every single time you move. And so that's really the magic of the tape, is that stretch and recoil on top of your skin. As you noticed in the video of how they apply it, you'll always notice that they have some anchors. We'll get into that a little bit further. But that really is the magic of the tape. And so that's what you can, anytime anybody asks, or anytime you think like, how in the world does this do what it does? It's all about the stretch and the recoil leading to increased blood flow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. So this next video is going to go through kind of like what we call getting ready to tape. Basically, we're trying to be very clear about how to best apply your tape to make it last. And not applying it this way doesn't mean it's wrong. There's not really a wrong or right way specifically to apply it, but we want to equip everyone with the best information that we found to make the tape last as long as it should on your skin. So you'll see in this video a bunch of different tips and tricks to utilize while applying your tape before you apply it.
Tape sticks best when applied at least 60 minutes before activity. Before taping, make sure the area is clean and dry and free of oils or lotions. If needed for better stick, consider trimming excess hair. Use the anchor, stretch, anchor method to apply the tape. The arrow mark at the end of the strips are the anchor markers. Use the tear and pull technique to tear the backer paper open and expose the adhesive. Remove paper from anchor and place tape on skin with no stretch. Peel back the backer paper from the middle segment of the tape, leaving 2 inches at the opposite end. Apply a light or moderate stretch and smooth the tape onto the skin. Carefully remove paper from second anchor, laying it down with no stretch. In each taping video, the level of stretch for the middle segment of each strip will be identified as light or moderate stretch. Be careful not to overstretch the tape. Anchors should always be applied with no stretch. Remove tape by peeling it gently, remaining as close to the skin as possible. Avoid aggressively ripping tape from skin. Use a gentle pulling motion for best results. Visit kttape.com/instructions to find our full library of taping videos.
Okay, question number 2 of the day. What 3-step method will help you easily remember the best taping technique? And if you'll answer in the chat, I see the chat numbers increasing. That's great news. Let me check and see how our responses are going. Anchor, stretch, anchor. That's perfect. I love it. You guys are awesome. That's exactly right. We've got a lot of people that obviously were taught that more is better on a lot of things, and that is not the case with KT tape. Everybody thinks I've got to stretch it to the very end of the tape. I've got to use the whole 10 inches. And that is definitely, we need to use the whole 10 inches and need to use it appropriately. So each end, the first 2 inches, the last 2 inches, those are the anchor points. So what you want to think is those are the parts of the tape that hold it on. If we get those right, then the stretch on top of the other 6 inches in the middle, that's exactly where we can have the most effect on the skin and lifting that from the tissue beneath it. And so that is the very best method to make sure that tape not only does what it's supposed to do, but sticks the very best. Some other key highlights in there are, 1, you want to make sure you properly clean the skin. We have people come up to us at marathons and say, I just went over and got a sports massage, and now I want KT tape, and they just smell of peppermint and menthol. And I have to unfortunately tell them, we have to take that off before we put the tape on. The tape is an adhesive, and you think about any time you mix oils and adhesives, the adhesive starts to give away. So we do need the skin nice and clean. So that means no lotions, no oils, no balms on top of it. By doing that, we allow the tape to really adhere to the skin. And that way we get the best effect of that lifting that happens. The other key that works out really well at like a run show like the London Marathon is we want at least 60 minutes of before, or you apply it 60 minutes before you start running or start your exercise. And that's why we can start at the marathon on a Wednesday afternoon taping people, and it will last all the way until Sunday when they start running. And so their typical use on the roll of tape on the Pro Synthetic is 4 to 7 days. And again, if we get that tape nice and stuck to the skin, you shouldn't have any issues. And then the other key is removing it. We have people that you grow up and you think of a plaster, and anytime you want to play a joke on your friend, you grab the plaster, rip it off, and it always gets a good reaction. That is definitely not what we encourage you to do with the tape. You're welcome to, but we definitely encourage you to remove it in the most easy possible way, starting at the top, just kind of get that edge and then kind of rolling on down. That way you don't irritate the skin, and then you get the best application on while it's putting it on, leaving it on, and then also removing.
I saw a few questions. Perfect. So now we're going to dive into more specific applications, and we've chosen ones that we think apply to your community the most. So we are going to kick off with one of our most popular applications that we see at all the events that we utilize, especially running events, but across the board, because our knees are so, well used, I'd say, and kind of take a lot of the brunt of our gravity. And secondly, because they're just a joint that's unilateral, there has a lot of tendency to have pain there in a lot of different ways. So this one is specifically made for any type of knee pain around the joint. So if you have a more specific kind of injury that's more like meniscus or outer knee pain, IT band, there's other ones that are specific for that. But this one is for if you don't know what's going on, you just maybe have a runner's knee, or it's just kind of aching in the joint, then this is something you can utilize really well. As also you can utilize it for patella tendonitis, and kind of helping stabilize your kneecap. This one does a really good job with that. So with this one, anyone who that makes sense for, I'm sure you felt it before. This one will be great for you to listen and watch.
For this application, position the knee at a 90-degree angle. For the first strip, tear backer paper 2 inches from end to create your first anchor. Place the anchor above the knee with no stretch. Peel backer paper from middle segment of the strip. Apply tape with moderate stretch along the side of the kneecap. Lay down the second anchor with no stretch using the last 2 inches of tape. Create an anchor at one end of the second strip. Repeat the same technique with the second strip on the other side of the kneecap. Lay down the second anchor with no stretch. Smooth over the full application to ensure tape is completely applied to the skin.
Now, before we go to question, I wanted to add here, within all of these application videos, you'll see kind of like a positioning statement where it says what we recommend you start in your body positioning. And the reason for that is, for this one as an example, we want your knee to be at a neutral angle, like 90 degrees, because when because your knee can flex so far to like a really like almost 180 degree angle. If you're stretching that tape a little bit too much while you're taping and your leg is straight, then once you bend it all the way back, maybe to do like a quad stretch, then the tape gets to a huge amount of stretch that it probably shouldn't be able to accommodate, and it could come off quicker. So that's why we want you to tape at a neutral angle, and you'll see in all these application videos, there's a positioning that's recommended so that that tape doesn't reach too high of a stretch level. Perfect.
Here's our question. This one, I will see who's paying really, really close attention. Which direction does the KT tape need to face for best results? I'll pull up the chat. So this one, I'm already realizing, yes, Steven, that's my favorite answer, sticky side down. So this one, I was just trying to play a joke more than anything, but which direction does the KT need to face? It doesn't matter. It can be up or down. So the knee definitely needs to be placed in that 90-degree angle, as Morgan said. But this is actually a question we get occasionally at different events, as I say, well, does it matter if I put KT upside down? Luckily, there's no directional use of the tape up or down. And so if you start with one KT upside down and the other KT up, the right side up, that is totally okay. There's no worry, but definitely, as Stephen mentioned, the sticky side down is the key. So I love that answer. Thank you, Stephen.
Yeah, for this application, you can see obviously in the video, we're starting above the knee and stretching to go below the knee. That's because of that recoil. So you're starting up at the top, you're stretching down below, and that recoil is pulling up so that kneecap can get that support. And you'll feel it for those people who said they're going to go ahead and do this one later. You'll feel it when you stand up. It pulls up on that kneecap and gives that nice support.
But we definitely want that wrinkling going on when we get it on the knee. So that's one thing that I always tell everybody. They're like, how do I know I've done it right? If your knee looks like that when you go to straighten it, then you know you've done it right. So some people get really worried. They're like, oh, there's not too many wrinkles. And no, never too many wrinkles. That's exactly what we want.
Great. So we're moving on to plantar fasciitis. I'm sure many of you have experienced this in life. And of course, it's very hard to kick. So this one is really helpful. Most people don't realize that you can utilize KT tape on the bottom of your feet, but you know how painful it can be. And just a little bit of support can help and go a long way so that you maybe can continue to lightly run or move without, with that support and helping to not cause more damage to those plantar fascias. So we'll kick it off from there.
For this application, flex the foot to create a stretch on the bottom of the foot. For the first strip, tear backer paper 2 inches from end to create your first anchor. Place the anchor on the ball of the foot with no stretch. Peel backer paper from middle segment of the strip. Apply tape with moderate stretch along the bottom of the foot. Lay down the second anchor on the back of the heel with no stretch using the last 2 inches of tape. One at a time, tear backer paper in the center of the half strip and peel back to expose the middle segment of adhesive. Apply moderate stretch and adhere the strips across the first strip in front of and behind the pain point. Lay down the last 2 inches at each end with no stretch. Smooth over the full application to ensure tape is completely applied to the skin.
Perfect. So a couple things to go over for this one. Number one, you'll see that there are half strips in this one. Now, all of our strips are the same size, our full 10-inch strips. So we want to make sure that because it's such a smaller space on the bottom of your foot, we're just optimizing the amount of tape that we're using by cutting those strips in half to target that pain point. And you can hear in the video, it talks about a pain point. So everyone's plantar fasciitis manifests differently. You might have it more towards your heel, more towards the front of your foot, or right in that arch area. So you can position those 2 half strips wherever you're having that pain. You don't need to have it exactly where the video shows. If it's a little further up, you just want to position that pain right between those 2 half strips. You also can make this application work with just the 1 strip underneath without the half strips. If you're just looking for a little bit of relief, and that's great for just like daily use. But those half strips really help to target that pain point going across. For the half strips, when you do cut those, you want to round those edges off. So just cut those sharp corners. The only reason you would do that is because it helps decrease the amount of times the corners get caught on your socks or your pants when you're getting dressed. So not completely necessary for it to work and have an effect. It just tends to last longer if you cut it and round those corners just like we have.
Good answer. But what is the best method for creating a half strip of KT tape? Morgan did a great explanation of this, but that's the key here is anytime you see a half strip, it's just exactly as Morgan explained. Nice and rounded corners makes it super duper easy. So awesome. We will jump to the next one. This one I'm really excited to share because we see a ton of these. Yeah.
So this one can be used for just very minor soreness, honestly, up into a strain of the muscle. So a lot of good calf, strains and soreness here and there. But I just want everyone to know it's not only for like a strain. It can also just be for pain, like a knot or a Charlie horse, for example. The other thing would just be minor soreness. If you have a huge workout coming up that's going to put a lot of strain on your calves, you can tape it ahead of time. And then that can decrease some of the soreness that you experience after so that you don't have to have that recovery rest time in between, which is awesome.
For this application, create a slight stretch on the calf muscles. For the first strip, tear backer paper 2 inches from end to create your first anchor. Place the anchor just above one side of the ankle with no stretch. Peel backer paper from middle segment of the strip. Apply tape with light stretch along one side of the calf muscles. Lay down the second anchor with no stretch using the last 2 inches of tape. Create an anchor at one end of the second strip. Repeat the same technique with the second strip next to the first on the other side of the leg. Lay down the second anchor with no stretch. Smooth over the full application to ensure tape is completely applied to the skin.
So I'm hoping by now all of you are starting to see the trends of how to apply tape. It is generally super easy because you basically say, where's my point of pain and how would I surround it with tape? And so with our next question, I want you to recall a few videos ago, how long should you apply KT tape before exercising? Seeing some good comments coming in. Perfect. Yes, a minimum of 60 minutes, but don't feel worried if you need to go before that. So say you were gonna go for a run in the evening and you wanted to apply tape in the morning so that you got the benefit of it during work and during your run in the evening, that's totally okay. On average, the tape lasts between 4 to 7 days. Obviously on the feet, it's a little bit less. On the knees, that's one of the places that we get the best stick, and we can go up to 7 days. Shoulders, elbows, anything like that. But don't be afraid to put it on further ahead than 60 minutes. But definitely give it at least 60 minutes before you start applying or before you start exercising. Give that adhesive time to stick to the skin.
Yeah, my personal preference is actually taping before, sometime in the evening before going to sleep, and giving it that time while I'm sleeping to adhere so that it's ready for the next day. If anyone also likes that idea. All right, ankle. This one is great for ankle stability specifically. So obviously if you have pain, that's perfect too. It can target the pain around the outside of the ankle. You could also kind of flip this one around if you wanted to more specifically target the inside of the ankle, but it's really great for stabilization of that ankle joint. So if you have any instability where you feel like it's going to roll, or if you have a past injury where you've rolled it and you want to protect it, you can tape this on your ankle. This one's probably one of the more complicated ones of ours, but just as a precaution, it just has to be close to be effective. It does not need to be exactly like this at all for any of these. Getting it close to what it looks like and having that, just targeting those pain points is what we're looking for.
For this application, place the ankle in a neutral position. For the first strip, tear backer paper 2 inches from end to create your first anchor. Place the anchor on the outside of the midfoot with no stretch. Peel backer paper from middle segment of the strip. Apply tape with moderate stretch underneath the foot and up the inside of the ankle. Lay down the second anchor with no stretch using the last 2 inches of tape. Create an anchor at one end of the second strip. Repeat the same technique as the first strip, starting on the inside of the foot and ending on the outside of the ankle. Lay down the second anchor with no stretch next to strip 1. Create an anchor at one end of the third strip. Place the anchor on the outside of the heel with no stretch. Peel backer paper from middle segment of the strip. Apply tape with moderate stretch around the back, then underneath the heel to cross over the first anchor. Lay down the second anchor with no stretch. Smooth over the full application to ensure tape is completely applied to the skin.
So a few pointers, as Morgan said on this one, where it is a little bit more difficult. We have these videos for you. The other key is that you can pause and play while you watch. And so don't feel like you need to do it all at once. Like, feel free to do a strip, pause, play, go back and forth as you need. And then on that last strip where it does go around the ankle in a unique way, one thing that you can do is you can actually take the tape with the backer paper still on and just follow the path that it goes to make sure you understand it right. Obviously it won't stretch with backer paper on, but at least that gives you the ability to kind of trace where you're going, and then you'll be able to find out exactly where you go once that you've removed the backer paper, and that makes it a little bit easier.
Yeah, that last one is tricky for sure. As long as so if you think about it this way too, the beginning of that strip ends up getting covered by the end of that same strip when it goes around and up, and it basically a figure 4. So yeah, that one's the most tricky, but the first two are also really great. If you just needed a light ankle stability, you could just stop right after those first 2 strips.
Perfect. Okay, question. Where can you find the KT Tape application videos if you forgot what you've learned already today? Let's see those answers roll in. Perfect. KT Tape blog, KT Tape website, YouTube, online, kttape.com. All of those are exactly right. We try to put them everywhere you can think of. We have a website, kttape.co.uk. You can always come to our US website, kttape.com. We've got a YouTube page that has a ton of videos. So any of those are awesome options. What I'm actually going to do is where we have a few more videos, but I think we've had so many good questions that I actually want to make sure we have plenty of time for questions, because again, once you understand the method of taping, I think you'll get the general idea, and it's really easy. We have all the videos. So what I'm going to do is stop sharing my screen and let's jump to some questions really quick.
So, no, technically, we do have a couple different products within our KT Tape line that kind of help with different ages. So I would say, those basically talk about different adhesive strengths. So we have our KT Tape Cotton, which is a little bit more gentle on the skin, doesn't last quite as long. And then we have actually one called KT Tape Gentle that has an adhesive that's designed to remove from the skin easier. And then we have our Pro line, which has a pretty strong adhesive, the 4 to 7 days, and our Extreme, which is a really aggressive adhesive. So really just depending on the skin type is what makes most sense on the different tape that you'd use versus the age. So, you know, as you get older, your skin can become more sensitive. So maybe you would want to dial down on the adhesive on the tape. Similarly to younger people, you likely wouldn't want to use the most aggressive tape on them because of the skin type. So it's really by skin type versus age. Yeah, so it is single use, but you can wear it 4 to 7 days. And that is throughout showers, swim, sweat, all of that. So as long as you're giving it that 60 minutes, the 60 minutes and beyond is what helps the tape have time to bond directly to the skin and let that adhesive soak into the pores, basically. Once it's beyond that, it's fully bonded, and that's when it can withstand water and sweat. So that's why we say to do it at 60 minutes at least before activity, so that it has time to adhere while it's dry. Once it's fully adhered dry, then it can last that 4 to 7 days throughout your activity and swimming and showers. If you're doing it close to what we've done in the videos, there's no way to really damage yourself. The stretch levels are more an indication of how long we want the tape to last. If you overstretch the tape, then it will pull itself off quicker. If you put some stretch on the anchors, it'll roll off a little bit quicker than those 4 to 7 days. So all the recommendations we have are more for making the tape last as long as it can. You'll notice no videos of ours ever recommend wrapping a joint with tape. So we're not looking to ever cut off blood flow or circulation. We want to promote that. So that is one thing we do not recommend. That could lead to damage. That's why we would never want you to do that. Anytime that we're going, like there's a wrist application, we actually use 2 separate strips to go around versus wrapping it around a whole limb. So that's something that's good to note. Just not restricting that blood flow around a joint, because you wouldn't want to have that on for a couple days at a time. But if you're following our application methods and you're just slightly deviating, no, there's not really risk for damage there at all. There are plenty of people who use it this way, yes. We can't guarantee that it's going to help prevent your cramps, but there's a ton of people, at least at the marathons that we've taped, that use it this specific way. They put it on before the marathon. They know their cramps come up at like mile 16, and those either won't show up at all during the race, or they'll get delayed a little bit longer. So it depends on the person really how well it works, but it's worth trying because it will help, at least with cramping. And then again, like I said, it'll help with soreness afterwards. So hopefully you're not limping around after the race. Yeah, so we have a couple different products. We have a cotton-based product and we have a non-cotton-based product. So our cotton-based product obviously is made of cotton, a blend of cotton that's very high quality, durable, and like we try to reduce the fraying there with a blend of adhesive that, you know, it's a formula that I'm not sure exactly what it's made of, but it is latex free. So it's hyperallergenic, which is great because it's not going to agitate your skin for anyone who has like a latex allergy or some type of adhesive allergy. We've done tests on that, which is amazing. And then our Pro line is actually what we call synthetic, non-cotton tape. It's a blend of materials that basically is moisture wicking, so that it's not going to absorb that moisture and get heavy and pull itself off. That's why that Pro can actually last longer, because the adhesive of the cotton and the Pro are similar. It's just that fabric, just like an athletic wear, is moisture wicking. So it's not going to absorb that water and moisture. Yes, definitely. So we do recommend using this in anticipation for sure. Like you can use it for preparation in case you think something will flare up. I mentioned earlier, like if you have a training session that is really focused on one muscle group or one area, you could tape that ahead of time, even if you're not in pain now, to help, lessen that soreness or risk for injury while you're working that part of your body. And then on another thing too, like you were talking about with previous injuries, like I have had a shoulder surgery. So when I know I'm going to be working my shoulders, I'll tape preemptively just to know that I have that support and I'm not going to put it at risk for injury or keep it protected.
I'm going to go to this low back because all of you have been sitting now for almost a full hour. And if you're anything like me, by the time you get to this point, you're starting to feel it in your lower back. Unfortunately, most of us have to work to earn money. And so that requires us sitting or standing or walking for long periods of time during the day. And the back can get a little bit beat up during those times. And so this is one where it's not specific to the running community as much, but this is just specific to human beings because it's kind of our lives now. So we've all kind of got a sore lower back at times. So that's why I wanted to throw this one in.
Mm-hmm.
For this application, hinge forward to create a slight stretch on the low back. Tear backer paper in the center of the first strip and peel it back to expose the middle segment of adhesive. Apply moderate stretch and adhere the tape just below the pain point. Lay down the last 2 inches at each end with no stretch as anchors, one at a time. Tear backer paper in the center of the second strip and peel it back to expose the middle segment of adhesive. Repeat the same technique with the second strip, applying it just above the pain point with moderate stretch. Lay down the anchors at both ends with no stretch. Smooth over the full application to ensure tape is completely applied to the skin.
The one thing that I did want to say along these lines is we love questions from you guys because it's really you guys that know running better than we do by far. So if there are questions you have, please email Matt after, and he'll pass them along to Morgan and I. And then we've got a full host of people here that we'd love to answer questions. So any questions that you had that didn't get answered for any reason, or you're thinking about as you're running tomorrow morning or this evening and thinking, you know what, I have this one question about KT tape. Find us in any way you can, whether it's at the show, whether it's online, whether it's on YouTube channels or whatever else. Reach out to us because we love answering questions about the tape, about what we do. And the last thing I wanted to do is I wanted to introduce you to our new tape. So in the videos you've seen, this tape used quite significantly. It's got a coating on the outside, and that's the kind of the gray pattern. So this video will introduce it. This one should be launching in the UK starting this fall, likely November or December. We do have a website that it should be launching on soon, even sooner than that, but in stores would be November timeframe. So wanted to give you this little sneak peek, and then we'll let you get back on with your evenings.
Yeah.
New Pro Oxygen from KT Tape combines the ultra-breathable synthetic fabric of KT Tape Pro with innovative Celliant infrared technology. When applied as instructed, Pro Oxygen Tape lifts the skin while embedded natural Celliant minerals convert your body's heat into infrared energy, which increases local blood flow and delivers more available oxygen to your body's cells. Learn more about Pro Oxygen at kttape.com.
So good information there. A little bit more about this one. Great for endurance athletes like yourselves. Really, this one is awesome because, as it said, it helps make more or deliver more oxygen make it available to your cells in the area this tape is applied. So on top of the normal tape benefits of promoting that blood flow, it can also help make more oxygen available to the cells in that area by converting your own body heat into infrared energy as you move and emit that body heat. So it's very, very cool, innovative, and it's nothing that goes into your bloodstream or anything. It's not infused tape. It's just like Russell said, it's a coating on top that your body heat reflects off of. So really excited. People who have tried this have loved it. It's really great. And you don't like feel heat or anything like that. It's just something more at the cellular level where it improves that cellular oxygenation. There was one last question that I saw that I thought was really good that I wanted to address, and it kind of like couples with another. I know we're talking about all these different types of tape, including this new Pro Oxygen. All of our tapes just have specific uses and needs from the consumers, like you guys, that have had a need for it. So that's why we've come out with such different lines, since you can't really fit one size fits all for this type of thing. Everyone's skin's different. Everyone's using it for different purposes. So on our website, at the UK website as well, all of our product pages go in depth on why that one's different than others. So you can go there to check it out. Another thing is like our brand of tape versus like others out there, like someone mentioned Amazon. Well, what we've found typically is that the non-cotton fabric that we utilize, it's super high quality, moisture wicking, can last the 4 to 7 days, is pretty unique to our brand. So a lot of brands out there, you'll find it just have that cotton, and that's when you try them, they just don't quite last as long, or maybe don't feel as quality, because we've really spent a lot of time developing this fabric to make sure that it fulfills the need that we're using it for that full time that we like it. So that I just wanted to touch on that one.
Other than that, thank you so much for participating.